That's the thing, is that the amount of secrecy around this. I want to play you. I mean, here's President Obama, right? He is criticizing at this, it's not the OFA, the same OFA, but he's criticizing, he says, last night he said, it gets on my nerves, people saying this is a secret deal. It is, of course, a secret deal. And the only people who've been able to negotiate this deal are industry, basically people from the industries that are involved, okay? I want to play a clip from an AFL-CIO forum on MSNBC. This basically was a debate on MSNBC in 2007 during the Democratic presidential primary.
All right.
And Keith Olbermann asked the question. Everybody looks significantly younger. It was, 8 years ago now. Listen carefully.
Let's not look at pictures of ourselves back then, Sam.
No, I know.
Unsettling, I think.
Listen carefully to what then candidate Barack Obama had to say.
As we continue, scrap NAFTA, Senator Obama, or fix it?
I would immediately call the President of Mexico, the President of Canada, to try to amend NAFTA, because I think that we can get labor agreements in that agreement right now. And it should reflect the basic principle that our trade agreements should not just be good for Wall Street, it should also be good for Main Street. And the problem that we've had is that we've had corporate lobbyists oftentimes involved in negotiating these trade agreements, but the AFL-CIO hasn't been involved. Ordinary working people have not been involved. And we've got to make sure that our agreements are good for everybody, because globalization right now is creating winners and losers. But the problem is it's the same winners and the same losers each and every time.
And so there you have it. I mean, he understood the problem then.
Yes, he did. But then some corporate contributions came in. I don't know, I mean, I try to keep myself from the cynical answer, which is thinking about his post-presidency. But one does wonder, you know what I mean? I mean, the two things I can think of motivating him on this to push as hard as he has for this are as a legacy item, because he does have a lot of legislation to now point to that in the end, with how well Obamacare has ended up doing, again, I still think there could have been more to it, but okay, it's ended up doing very well. He's had one big thing to look to, because the economy has come back, not for everyone, but overall the numbers are good. He's got that to point to his stimulus, and that this is kind of like the capstone to all of that. He can point to this huge trade deal he got passed. That's one of two reasons, and the only other reason I can think of is, quite frankly, that there's some people who are talking to him about what he's going to do after his presidency. I hate to think that's it, but I don't know why else he could support this. He knew what was right back then. What is that has disabused him of that notion? Is it the additional jobs we've lost since then due to NAFTA that has led him to think differently? Is it the fact that exactly what he called out as the problem? No unions involved in the negotiations, just the corporate guys? What's changed about that? So unless there's something here that I'm missing, I don't know. I don't know where else to go with that, but that's kind of my analysis of it.
Yeah, I mean, and the only other thing that I think, the only other sort of factor that I think is relevant here is for the pressure to be put on Hillary Clinton to come out and take a definitive stance on this, right? I mean, this is why if there is any way to delay this, which I don't know that there is, but any way to delay this, even like 2 or 3 months in terms of votes, then it becomes almost impossible, right? I mean, because then it becomes impossible for it not to get bound up in presidential politics. I mean, that's why they're doing it now. That's why this is happening right now. Because if this was to happen, if this vote was to happen in September of this year, forget about it, right? I mean, the thing becomes just incredibly, it becomes a huge hot potato. And the only thing that gives me any type of indication as to what's happening on the right is that I'm quite convinced I saw a Dick Morris email talking about how this could prevent the United States from writing its own immigration laws. Now, I don't know if that's the case or not, but who cares, right? I mean, it's like, where's Ted Cruz when you need him?
You do know, I just want to make sure you're aware that there are certain contagions that you can catch just from reading a Dick Morris email.
Well, that's why I didn't open it. I just
I hope you washed your hands immediately after that and didn't eat within maybe a couple hours, just to make sure.
Well, all right, so let's. There'll be more to say about this as it comes, as we move forward, and it's unclear to me. I mean, I presume what happens now is now that these sort of trade promotion authority bills have cleared both their respective committees, it will go to the floor at one point. I don't know how quickly that will happen, but I guess it just sort of remains to be seen. I mean, I guess they would have to check to make sure that they have the votes. Right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, that's exactly right. So I guess we'll have to see what happens here.
But this is a great time, folks, to call.
If you want to call and say hi to your member of Congress and offer your opinions, it wouldn't be the worst time.
And this is one of those few sort of like occasions, pretty rare occasion, I think, where you could call your Republican and there's an equally compelling argument for the Republican as there is for the Democrat, and maybe in some respects might even be more relevant if you have a Democratic representative to call that person, inevitably that guy, and tell that white guy, hey, you can't possibly be giving President Obama more unilateral authority and giving Hillary Clinton possibly more unilateral authority.
I mean, they're going to run that, they're going to run some of these products, that they were shipping abroad out of like the Mena airport in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't they know that?
There you go.
Right? I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, there's a reason why Vince Foster had to be dealt with. He knew there could be a free trade agreement within 20 years if Hillary were to become president.
There you go. Bingo.
Yeah, just saying. They should get on that on the right.
And make sure you say, like, this is like Benghazi times 2.
Electric Boogaloo. Sorry, I just threw that in there. Yeah, no, I mean, it's oh my God, this is like a nuclear Benghazi.
This is
like if Benghazi and Iran got together.
Exactly.
And they joined with, Al-Qaeda, al-Baghdadi.
I hope folks realize that
and a couple
TPP
of the guys from Mars
in
Attacks,
Farsi,
too.
TPP in Farsi means Benghazi.